just sit back and listen?
No, we're going through the process right now. I'm there to help Coach Zimmer and aid him as we go through the process, but Coach Zimmer will make the final determination of who the offensive coordinator will be.
And there's still a couple candidates you want to interview?
We've interviewed 4 to date. Next week we'll probably continue to maybe see 1 or 2, and then we'll make a decision based off that.
Do you know what philosophy you're going to run offensively, or do you let the offensive coordinator determine that based on who you think is the best offensive coordinator?
You know, that's something that I've talked to Coach Zimmer about. You know, we thought Pat Shermer came in and did an unbelievable job taking some of Nor's systems midway through a year and a half ago and putting his flavor on top of it. Then he added some West Coast this year. He added a little bit of Chip Kelly offense this year. So the biggest question is, and Coach Zimmer will make that determination, do you bring someone in, blow it up, and start over from scratch? Or do you have someone come in, look at what we're doing, and just add another layer to what we have established?
With the quarterback situation in such flux right now, obviously you're going to wait until you get your coordinator and kind of talk it through, but when do you reasonably expect to have a decision on how you guys are going to move forward, and is that an ongoing conversation?
With the quarterbacks?
With the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think the number one priority right now is filling the offensive coordinator role. And then once we get that, we will go through our normal process that we do every year. I know we'd like to have some idea of the direction we're going to go, hopefully by the Combine. Doesn't have to be at the Combine. I know I spoke to every single one of our UFAs, not only the quarterbacks, but every player going out. Wanted to get their feeling on where they are at with our organization. And usually I'll start visiting with their agents down at the Combine, but the decision doesn't have to be made until March 14th when the new league year begins.
What do you tell the 3 quarterbacks? I guess you got them under contract till March, technically, right? Is it just you've got a whole big plan, and they're
my first initial? I want to sit there and listen to them. You know, a lot of it is where they're at, how they're feeling, where they think they are, and you know, I told them we're going, just like I've told you, we have a process that we go through, and once we get through that process, we'll make our determination.
How approach this free agency period? You know, obviously with a team that made it to the NFC Championship game, a lot of pieces are already in place, but how do you look at this free agency period?
I think we're always going to build through the draft, but as we go through this process, first you have to evaluate your own team and the needs that you have to fill to even make our roster stronger next year. The following week we will go through our draft meetings for 8 days, and after that the UFA meetings. So you put in place, well, it's strong in this area in the draft, but it's not very strong in free agency. So, but our roster is going to be built through the draft, but if there are unique circumstances out there, then we've always dabbled into free agency if we felt that a player could come in and help us win.
Talking about this draft class, I mean, what do you like about this draft class? What do you see really that might be able to?
Well, I wish, you know, unfortunately I didn't get down to the Senior Bowl. I know our scouts and George Payton were down there since I've been helping coach them through this offensive coordinator process. But I think it's early. I think by the end of next week I'll have a pretty strong opinion on some of the strengths. I know I've seen probably about 100 players already, but with all the juniors now coming in, it's hard to determine where the strengths and weaknesses are going to be till we get through that process, because there's a lot of new names that just got added to the process.
Isn't free agency, though, because of the way you guys are a poster child? You sign your good players to long-term contracts, and by the time we get to free agency now, there's not as many guys in their prime, because like the Vikings, you're signing Rhodes and Griffin and Smith, you're locking them up for long-term.
And Linville Joseph was one of the key signs, but he was in his first time coming out as a free agent, so he was 25, maybe 26 years old at the time. So the philosophy has kind of been, we're going to hone in on a lot of those young guys that maybe didn't get signed, that are going to hit the market. Riley Reef and Mike Rummers were another example. So when we do go into free agency, we're usually looking at guys that are just coming out of their first contract or still right in the prime where you're going to have them for the next 4 or 5 years.
How much flexibility do you have? I mean, did I see that you have something like $60 million in cap space, maybe more?
Yeah, well, it's a number out there, but knowing, as we plan on the contracts that we have to pay our own guys, that's going to evaporate pretty quickly, and the quarterback situation will probably eat up a lot of that cap space as well. But give credit to Rob Brzezinski, as we do cap plan, we're always going to have enough room to do what we need to do to put the best team out there every year. And credit to our ownership group and the Wolf family. They've never once denied us the resources we need to go out there and put a good football team together.
How much did Case Keenum's brilliance surprise you this year?
Well, I think it surprised everybody. I knew he was a very solid number two. You know, we watched a ton of film on him last year. When we do our we do our film, we do it together as a scouting staff and a coaching staff. We're all in a big room, and when we make decisions, especially major decisions, we're all in there bantering back and forth and coming up with what we think is best for the Minnesota Vikings. But Case had an outstanding year. Not only did he perform on the field, but what he brought from a leadership standpoint, what he brought to our locker room, and how quickly he adapted to the culture that we have established.
Rick, how do you feel about Teddy's full health? Is he all the way back, in your opinion, or?
I'm not going to talk about his health. I know he's an inspiration, and where he was when he first started practice to where he was at the end of the season, you see him continually progress. We will never put a player out there that isn't able to go out there and play football. And once the doctors cleared him, the medical staff cleared him, he got out there. But there's a difference between doing rehab all the time and then actually going out there and play. And he hasn't played in a year and a half. But we were very excited about what we saw with Teddy Bridgewater through practices.
Same kind of deal with Dalvin. Is he on track in his rehab process?
Talked to Eric Sugarman yesterday when I got back in town, and don't expect anything less than what we saw from Adrian Peterson when he came back from his ACL. And I think he's going to be even more explosive and stronger than he was last year. And the attitude that he has shown and how aggressively he has attacked the rehab is pretty awe-inspiring to see. He's got a major chip on his shoulder, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play next year.
Is there a temptation to stay down at Zimmer's Ranch and not be anywhere around this circus? Considering how close
What, I
you
miss
guys
all
were.
this? Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
well, but you know, is there a bittersweet?
I think it was great to do it away from all this when we brought the coordinators down to his ranch. Me and him living together for 4 or 5 days was probably time. My wife was trying to kick me out to go down there. He's trying to kick me out to come back home.
It's a big ranch.
Yeah, he has a very nice ranch. I'm starting to get a complex, to be honest with you. But no, we had a great time, and it was, you know, the thing that came out of it is we got a chance, just me and him, to get away from all this and to spend some time and to have a lot of very good conversations on where our football team is and the direction we see it going.